It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Friday Travel and Cruise Industry News and Podcast. So I'm trying to do 14 things at once and it just never works out right that way. So anyway, my apologies for being a couple seconds late getting on the air. We got several things to do today. There's not any major, huge stories, but there's several little stories. So the headlines today, the main story is a cruise passenger was indicted for strangling his girlfriend. Royal Caribbean upgrades the loyalty program. V Odyssey is delayed once again. Palma is the latest to propose a ban on mega ships and add taxes. I've got some thoughts on that. Carnival Splendor changes itineraries. MSC in talks for new ships. And MSC expands the U.S. fleet. That and lots more today here live at 11 o'clock this morning. It's been a busy morning for me. It got cold last night. As you can see, I'm in a sweatshirt. I was 47 when I got up this morning. It's only going to get up to like 70 today, back in the 40s tonight. So what gains we've made on the pool as far as getting the temperature up, I just went to the dumper. So it's going to be cold back at the pool. At 70 degrees, I'm not going to get in the pool anyway. So, no. But it'll be nipply again. All right. If you're listening via the podcast, welcome aboard. You can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcast from. All the big guys. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and voila, up pops the fat travel guy. Today is National Macaroon Day. They're okay. I mean, there's a lot of things in that family I like better. But it's that day, so I'm pretty sure we don't have macaroons in the house. So I might have trouble celebrating that one today. I'm not planning on going out anywhere this afternoon. See how the weather is tomorrow and Sunday. If I get a nice day, I'd like to get out and do some filming somewhere. One, to give some fresh content going up to the folks that will. I haven't done anything since I got off the elation, so need to do something. So we'll see how the weekend goes. All right, so a lot happening down in Mexico today. First, let's start with Elizabeth on location is telling me how horrible it would be for me in Playa del Carmen. So she says, here is a ramp. She says it's one of the few ramps that's around here, which is great. She says, but as soon as you get to the sidewalk, you're in trouble. And she said, they got trees growing out of the middle of the sidewalk. So, how are you going to get past that? And then there's places where, the sidewalk's all broken up and got big holes in it. Yeah, well, I see that quite often. I mean, New Orleans was great for that one. And then they just put a pole in the middle of the sidewalk. They don't give you a ramp to get off or anything. It's just a pole. It's just right. So if I'm trying to get down that sidewalk, I'd be in trouble. So, all right. So currently, Elizabeth is on location at the No Name Bar. Now that's looking over there toward the bar across the pool. That's the approximate location where I flipped the scooter on my head one time, where I was backing around that pool and backed off the walkway into the sand, and that little bit of a drop from my back wheels and everything went over. And I went flying. And of course, my skirt was up around my head. Didn't have a skirt. Anyway, so Elizabeth is at the No Name Bar. I don't know if she started drinking yet. It might still be a little early for that. Meanwhile, off in the distance, if you look real close there, you can see Cindy and Nick. That's the boat that they're on. They're going to meet Elizabeth here in a little bit. And of course, Elizabeth has tables reserved. She's got one that's in the sun, so she and Cindy can sit in the sun if they want. Of course, Elizabeth sits in the sun all the time. And I got one that's covered in case Nick doesn't want to sit in the sun and wants in the shade, or they get too hot. You know, it's been pretty hot down there. So anyway, Elizabeth is at No Name. Nick and Cindy will be there shortly, and I'm sure we'll have reports on that over the weekend. All right. I'll be back with some news and a couple other things after a quick break from one of our network sponsors. A grand jury recently indicted a 27-year-old resident of Pennsylvania for strangling and beating a woman who appears to be his girlfriend during a cruise aboard a cruise ship operated by Norwegian. The U.S. Department of Justice charged Quintin Owens with 3 felonies earlier this week from a cruise to the Caribbean in 2022. The violent assault and battery is alleged to have occurred on the Norwegian Getaway, which sailed from Port Canaveral on October 8, 2022, on a 7-night cruise to the U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. The indictment alleges that on October 11th, Owens allegedly assaulted and battered his intimate and dating partner by strangling her in a chokehold on the high seas near St. Thomas. Owens pled not guilty to the charges and posted a $20,000 bond. Royal Caribbean International is upgrading the Loyalty Status Match program to give guests better benefits at sea. Valued members will now receive 1-for-1 tier matching across all 3 Royal Caribbean Group brands: Royal Caribbean, Celebrity Cruises, and now also Silver Sea. This shared status unlocks more benefits and more ways to see the world, with 50 incredible ships sailing to nearly 1,000 ports. If you're a Diamond Plus on Royal, you'll be Elite Plus in the Captain's Club on Celebrity and 350 VS in the Venetian Society on Silver Seas. There are some rules. Now, specifically, it's not automatic. You must register for it. Just ask for it. You'll get it. And the cruises will be better. All right, folks, just kind of a quick announcement here in the middle of things. This is what I have just recently gotten. My certificate of completion from, if I can get that straight, from American Cruise Line as a certified travel advisor. Many of you know that I've been trying to get to on an American Cruise Line river cruise for some time. Maybe this will get me one step closer. And of course, it does, put me in a situation to sell cruises for them. So I've been working quite a bit on getting this set up. So. If you're thinking about river cruising in this country, you think about the Mississippi River. But how How about a Revolution cruise round trip from Washington, D.C.? Yeah, it goes to the Naval Academy, it goes to D.C., it gets down to Virginia to the historical places like Williamsburg and Jamestown, where you get out on the battlefields, or Yorktown, get into Norfolk, up into Maryland. It's just a really neat cruise, round trip from Washington, from American Cruise Line, the American Revolution Cruise. Just call me, 434-258-9264. V residence Odyssey is suffering yet another delay before its expensive world cruise even has a chance to begin. Just before embarkation, the ownership-style cruise line has reached out to book guests to alert them to the delay due to issues in the ship's gray water tanks. Fortunately, the delay will be just a few days, and embarkation has been rescheduled for June the 4th. While another delay can be understandably frustrating and may even cause greater anxiety for passengers, it will permit enough time for the ship to be at her peak before sailing. On the heels of Barcelona mayors Jaume Calboni and Valencia's Maria Jose Catala announcing measures to further limit cruise passengers from disembarking in the city to ease congestion and over-tourism, the mayor of Palma de Mallorca has announced the city council will be seeking to do the same. On May 29th, Mayor Jamie Martinez unveiled a series of proposals aimed at mitigating the impact of mass tourism on Palma, the capital city of the Balearic Islands, located on the island of Mallorca. Central to his plan is a partial ban on cruise ships to limit the number of cruise ships or allow only cruise ships in home port in Mallorca. The mayor also suggests implementing 2 new taxes, similar to those recently proposed in Venice, that charge a tourism tax to cruise passengers. One would be on an arrival fee into the port, and another would be a fee to enter the city, potentially double taxing passengers on ships that call on Palma. Carnival Cruise Line has reached out to guests booked on 2 upcoming sailings of Carnival Splendor with notification of dramatic itinerary changes. One cruise is having all ports of call changed and adding extra sea days where replacements aren't possible, and the second sailing is only keeping a single port of call from the original itinerary. The impacted sailings are the June 11th and June 24th sailings, both departing Sydney, Australia. These are South Pacific itineraries, and both are scheduled to visit Noumea, New Caledonia, which is currently experiencing significant unrest, protests, and even rioting over controversial election reform laws. Due to the violence, the island's international airport has been closed, and a nationwide curfew is in effect. A state of emergency has been declared. Both the Australian government and the U.S. Department of State are urging travelers to reconsider travel to New Caledonia. Carnival Cruise Line has opted to avoid all ports of call in New Caledonia for Carnival Splendor's 2 upcoming cruises, which means multiple ports missed. MSC Cruises is growing rapidly and expanding its presence into the U.S. Now it seems the European Cruise Line may also be expanding its fleet according to gross tonnage. The cruise line is reportedly in talks with Meyer Turku about new construction projects that could be in excess of 200,000 gross tons. That's in the Icon of the Seas realm. Any new large ships for MSC would be several years or even up to a decade away, depending on the terms of agreements, design processes, shipyard scheduling, labor availability, financing arrangements, and more. MSC Cruises currently has well-established discussions with Meyer Turco, the first time the cruise line has explored such project with the Meyer Werft Group. Previously, MSC Cruises has worked with Fincantieri and Chantier de l'Attique for their new vessel construction. I'm wondering if we're not getting to the the point where these big ships, maybe there's too much. Look at just this week at the number of ports that are limiting cruise ship passengers and limiting the size of ships. Maybe it's time for the cruise industry to get away from this bigger is better and go back to smaller so you can get at places. What good's a huge ship going to do with all the bells and whistles if you can't take it anywhere? I'm just wondering, if this continues going with these ports, that's what's going to happen. I don't know. That's my thinking. MSC Cruises has unveiled an expanded lineup of itineraries for winter 2025 and 2026, sailing from its 4 home ports in the U.S. This marks MSC's largest deployment in the U.S. to date, featuring 7 ships, leaving round trip from 3 states, Florida, New York, and Texas. A key highlight is the debut of the MSC Grandiosa in Port Canaveral. She will offer alternating 7-night Eastern and Western itineraries, while MSC Seashore will also offer 3- and 4-night voyages to the Bahamas and Ocean Key. MSC will start operations from Texas, with MSC Seascape offering 7-night Western Caribbean itineraries. MSC World America, which will be the ship's largest, is set to launch in April of 2025. World America will embark on its first winter season from Miami. Other U.S.-based MSC ships are the MSC Divina from Miami and MSC Meraviglia from New York City. Many itineraries will stop at MSC's private Bahamian island, Ocean Key. Enhancements to the island include new excursion centers, a snorkel and dive center, expanded food and beverage options, an enlarged Ocean House bar and restaurant exclusively for MSC Yacht Club guests like Cindy and Nick. How would you like to explore Ponta Delgada, Portugal with me for the first time? I've not been there before, but I'm going in January. So why not join me on a cruise with Chillie, Miami to Southampton transatlantic for 13 nights on the beautiful Norwegian Bliss. Sails January 4th from Miami to Southampton in England on the 17th. That's 13 nights, folks. Prices start at $799. That's double occupancy, but you can't beat that. Of course, you got to add the taxes and port charges and anything else you want to it, but starting from $799. That's Cruise with Chillie, Miami to Southampton on January 4th. And that's going to wrap up the news portion of today's show. I'm kind of interested in some of the MSC things. I got to work on that some this weekend. Especially, I'd like to get on the Grandiosa. I haven't been on that. Let's see, I've been on all the rest of the ships here, I think. Seascape, Divina. Anyway, I'm definitely going to have to look at the Grandiosa. So, all right, let's go see who's fussing at me in the chat room. Okay. Hot Air Tom is here, says happy Friday. Gary Older Than Dirt's with us. Hey, Gary. Mike's with us from over on the other side of the pond. Roger's with us from Jacksonville. Got his new AC working. That's good. Yeah, yesterday was not a good time for it to go out. Bob's with us. Good morning, Bob. Kenneth's here. Finally, the sun is out in Pennsylvania. Cold, though. Going down in the low 40s at night. Yeah, it was 47 when I got up this morning and going down in the 40s again tonight here in Virginia. So, yeah, that's just, hey, I'm ready for hot weather. Come on with it. Come on, get hot, stay hot, get my pool warmed up. Yeah. If I'm going to be here most of the summer, I want to be able to get in the pool. Joanne's with us. Hi, Joanne. Kenneth says, hey, Tom and Chillie, question. Which Norwegian ship do you like better, Encore or Joy? Thinking about doing a Panama Canal cruise. My particular preference of the two, it's probably Joy. I like Joy a lot. Now, I certainly didn't dislike Encore, and they're pretty similar. But there was just something about Joy that I really like. So my vote would be on Joy. I have no idea what Hot Air Tom will say. Todd's with us. Good morning, Todd. Congratulations on the new certification. Thank you. I just hope it becomes worth something, and I can find people that can afford to sell on these. I mean, let's face it, they're expensive. They're not what we're used to, bargains. But then you got to look at what all it includes. So then it becomes a value thing as opposed to a total price thing. So I'm going to be you're going to be hearing a lot more as we go along on this, because I'm going to be promoting it a lot. Chillie, do you think it's more of the pollution of the ships put off, or more that there's too many people that they can't handle, many people, and that they could always go further out and tender in? That's a very good question. The problem is that they're jumping on the newer ships that don't pollute near like the older ships did. I mean, like Icon of the Seas. I mean, Icon of the Seas is massive, but the pollution level is very low. So are they cutting off their nose to spite their face? I can't answer that, Kenneth. The older ships are going to pollute more. No doubt about it. Although I did see, which ship was it? One of the ships is going in for a dry dock, and they're converting it over to LNG while it's in dry dock. So there's going to be more of a movement toward that, which is a good thing. I don't know about this overcrowd. I mean, yeah, sometimes you hate being in ports that are just jam-packed. I still think that there could be more work done on the port, from the port side of things, offering more things to do, more ways of moving the people away from those high traffic areas. I'd love to see that, especially from the standpoint of the disabled community, who has, very little opportunities in port because of the transportation. They might have some things, but you can't you can't get there because they don't have accessible transportation. I don't know. It's just a to me, it's a troubling problem, but I mean, it's getting so widespread. I mean, you had, up in Maine, you had in Alaska, a number of places in Europe now. I don't know. I think, Kenneth, it's a mixture, but you can't. Yeah, the newer ships are so much better. So I don't know. It's probably some of both, Kenneth. There's hot air, Tom. I have not done Encore yet. Joy was nice, but I prefer the smaller Dawn and Jewel class ships. Yeah, I agree with that from Hot Air Time. I always like smaller ships than the larger ships. But if I'm going to be on a larger ship, I thought the Joy was really nice. Encore was nice. I have not done like Icon yet. I have done Symphony. That was the largest Royal Caribbean ship that I've been on. MSC, I did Seascape, which is, I think Seascape was a step larger than Meraviglia. I haven't been on any of the bigger Carnival ships yet. So I'm kind of with Hot Air Tom, though. I like the smaller ships much better. So I wouldn't mind if they quit building the bigger ones and go back, build the smaller ones and build them better. You don't need to have, 5 to 7,000 passengers on a cruise ship. What's the matter with 3,000, 3,500? Build them better. Build them with, more features and more things you can do, and better accessibility, obviously, would be one of my interests. But yeah. So I just, Kenneth, as far as the answer to your question, I still like the Joy. Again, for the big ship. But be prepared. You're going to do a lot of walking on that sucker. A lot. Which, of course, I couldn't do. But I did a lot of rolling on both of them. All right, that's going to wrap me up for today, guys. As always, I appreciate you being here. Please smash that thumbs up button. That helps us out a bunch. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. And don't forget, if you're interested in doing a cruise someplace, I know a lot of you have travel agents that you deal with all the time. I'm not going to ever, tell you to go away from who you're comfortable with. But if you're going on a cruise and don't have anything in particular that anybody you work with, call me. I'll be happy to work on it for you and see what kind of decent deals we can come up with. Whether you're solo, whether you're disabled, or whether you're a regular ambulatory cruiser, it doesn't matter. This is a all are welcome kind of situation, and I clearly want to get into the rivers. That's going to be, I don't know if I can get it done this year, but there will be a phone call actually this afternoon to see if we can't maybe move in that direction. So we'll see. All right, guys, that's it for the weekend. I'll be here in case anything major happens. To Elizabeth and Cindy and Nick, y'all have fun at No Name. Give Alma a hug and a kiss for me. I just love her to death. And beyond that, you guys have a great day and a great weekend. And I'll see everybody back here on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you'd like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chilliescruises.